Hello, everybody. Welcome to Exetera's Vampires LP. I am New Dark Cloud.
I'm Exetera?
Joining me,
No.
and
And I'm Krellen. And we don't have a script.
No, we don't.
it's improv comedy. I like this soundtrack, though.
I think Hollywood actually does have one of the best backing tracks.
Yeah, so let's find something to do. I don't feel like doing main quest right now, so let's not.
So what quests do we have to do then? What's our
Well,
list?
Let's go talk to Vivi then.
Yeah, just what I was thinking.
Isn't he from Final Fantasy IX?
No.
Vivi is a she. And she is more fan servicey than Jeanette Vorman.
So we're now in
Probably-
Final Fantasy IX, is what I've just been told. Okay.
Probably
that
the
works.
most fan servicey character in the game.
Ah.
Over Jeanette. That's oh.
There we
oh.
go.
Oh, I
can't
see.
imagine you'd get much of a rise out of. I think.
Her breasts are jiggling and she's not even moving.
Personally, I think the crappy Uncanny Valley ragdoll effects are more than enough to make this damn creepy.
Squick?
Yeah. It's not even fan service, it's...
It's Squick.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't this better?
Especially when you consider the fact that she's a corpse.
For just a little while.
Yeah, well, so is the main
Essentially.
character, so it's not really...
And the
Mm.
dangers.
Hopefully you've gotten over that already.
Mm.
I guess if you're an undead corpse, you might as well screw an undead corpse, even though vampires don't have sex.
Jeanette does, but she is in fact the only one.
Wait, she doesn't?
No, she does. No, Vivi?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't. She manipulates you by thinking she's going to have sex. But then
Why
she
would
never
she be
actually
manipulating you that way?
does. Because she's a Toreador, and that's kind of what they do.
But you are also a vampire. She knows perfectly well you don't care.
You're a young enough vampire. It's quite possible you haven't gotten over the urges yet.
The nature of our blood. The reason I asked you up here is because.
So this introduction is actually really funny if you're a Nosferatu. Because you come walking into the club and she goes, "What the hell do you think you're doing just walking in here looking like that?"
Well, I don't think she has a sewer entrance, so...
She
think
does not.
nothing of it.
She immediately
Wow.
tells you to go talk to
Oh,
her
my
upstairs.
velvet. It's been months since I've seen anyone new in here. I was starting to take it personally. And who should finally walk in but a real celebrity? I've heard a lot about you. So, wouldn't you like to know about me?
I don't know, I just figured that she's seductive in the way she is because this is her line of work, and not because she's trying to seduce you.
Well, she is trying to get you to do things for her. And yes, I do think that she is not specifically seducing you, she's just naturally seductive.
I'm like a book.
So she's like every other person in this game,
Yes, everybody wants
trying
you
to
to
get
do
us
stuff
to
for them.
do their mundane shit.
They've been
You get
sticking
XP
up
out of it,
for
it's worthwhile.
They've been an
So
Ash's
I
call,
just,
mine,
once again, I do
few
want to go
others.
back on the
I think
fact
they're
that you are an
whittling down a
8th
list of
generation
suspects.
vampire, which
Well,
quite
they're
possibly
not.
makes
Until
you the
recently, I
highest
haven't read
generation
anything else.
vampire in the entire city. It's not clear what generation vampires like Strauss or Isaac are, but
Highest? I think you may have gotten your generations
Lowest.
backwards.
yeah, I always say highest as low numbers are high because I don't know, but that's the way I always think of the generations.
Higher up the
Like-
hierarchy.
Yeah, so I always think of like Cain is the highest generation. That it's just I know it's not the way they actually word it in the game, but it's always the way I think about it.
For a few weeks.
That makes sense. I mean, since Cain is the strongest vampire, and therefore he'd be the highest.
I
in the
think
hierarchy.
I think it stems from the way the tabletop game does generation. It is a background, and you have number of points in background. So if you have 5 points in the generation
think it might
background,
be
you're
a
8th
little much
generation.
to
So that's
ask.
5 is higher than 0.
You'd
Thus higher generation.
She works over at the Sin Bin now. Her hair's blonde.
But yeah,
Anyway,
Top.
So, you are quite possibly the most have the strongest blood of all vampires in the city, which makes you a very valuable tool to most of these vampires.
Tool is correct.
That seems... I don't know. I don't think... That would imply that your sire was
Yes,
two
yes, it
generations
does.
lower than the next lowest
Yeah,
generation vampire. Why? Why would they kill him or her?
Because that a 7th generation vampire, which is the generation at which vampires start to be able to be just naturally inhuman. 7th generation vampires can have 6 dots instead of 5. Is so intensely more powerful than anybody else in the city that dinging them on a technical tradition violation might have been seriously the only way LaCroix could eliminate them.
Would an ancient 7th gen vampire lose?
Well, I imagine any vampire would lose if it's a swarm of other vampires. Yeah.
Yeah, if you notice what happened in the intro, I don't know if we actually showed anybody the intro movie, but immediately after our embrace, a bunch of vampires run in and one throws a stake into your sire's chest.
Well, yeah, we saw that.
He got
I saw
staked,
that.
but that doesn't...
A sire's... I mean,
he's
a 7th
unstaked
generation
by the time
vampire-
he's going into the theater. He should,
Yeah,
if
but
not
by that time
necessarily
he's
win, he
35%
should be able to
started.
escape. I mean, why can't he escape? If he is that
Anyway,
I mean, there were like 20 vampires in there, all of whom were expecting him to get killed.
one of you may want to explain the quest we're about to do right now to me.
Okay, so Vivi just asked us to kill a hunter who had been posing as a dancer in her club until Vivi discovered her by finding a weapon in her locker. And she now works across the street. And as she is a Toreador, she has asked us to make sure we kill nobody but the hunter.
Why would being a Toreador, like, how is that relevant?
So the Toreador are especially close to their humanity. In the tabletop, their weakness is that they are easily distracted by beauty. But in this game, their weakness is that their humanity losses and gains are doubled.
Okay, I'm going to do this a bit out of order. There's a point I'd like to make, and that involves doing some other quests all at once.
Okay.
So I'm going to I'm going to talk to Isaac about something.
LA, roughly how far are we in this game?
Midway?
Yeah, this is probably about halfway point. This is about the
Interesting.
point. Once we advance more on the main quest here, we'll start to get to the point where the main quest becomes more or less nothing but fighting.
There is something.
Okay, this isn't the one that I wanted to hear about.
Exetera, can you handle
In
some
your
fighting?
lifetime,
Yes, I can, but
Can you fight better than Alduin does?
Lean, Hitchcock, Wilder,
Let's
Holden,
not
Dean, Scorsese,
let's not dish on
De Niro,
Alduin on
and last but
our
not
stream.
least,
You do it enough on yours.
I remember some studio suit.
I actually
lost
feel
in
sorry
time
for the
telling
guy
me
now.
The only thing they could use Bogart for was to move furniture.
okay, so here is a lead into
7
another
years
quest
ago,
that you
I saw
can,
a
another
casting
side quest
session
you can
for
get in
what would
Hollywood.
become Negative Zero.
And
When would
this
I
is
decide on him?
Isaac has made a recent child,
I knew he had
Ash Rivers. He's a film star, and if you've been paying attention throughout the game, you would have heard his name before. Like on the TV at your starting haven at the start of the game, they're telling you about how he escaped a fatal car accident.
I hadn't seen anything.
I don't know
like
if
him
that's on
since
the
Cliff
TV. I
Doreen.
think it might be in a
The
newspaper.
looks, the
I think it was in both.
lure, that undefinable quality that makes a film.
But yeah,
legend.
so
My first movie with him
Ash
made
is
him a
basically Brad
sensation.
Pitt.
And
What?
It also
Or
changed
George.
him.
Ash is basically
Clooney.
Brad Kent or Clooney. Yeah, I mean he's younger, so
Once
that's why I
everyone
don't think
knew
he's
who he
Clooney. I
was.
think he must be Pitt
I no
because
longer
he's
did.
not
The
old.
parties,
Maybe he's
the drinking,
McConaughey.
Sports cars, the women. One night when I came
that's
to discuss
that's
his next
possible.
role, I found him nearly dead of an
I,
overdose.
McConaughey would probably react very poorly not being able to run around shirtless in the sun anymore.
I acted on impulse. I'd seen so many others die before their time, but with Ash, I had a chance to prevent that fate. It devastated Ash. He still wanted to act. but I
Aw, he
denied
has a
him his
heart of
place in the
gold.
limelight.
Oh, he is
had to
also
lie
a
to his friends
Toreador.
about his new lifestyle. He handed
But
me
yeah,
the
so the deal is
I
he
gave him a
turned
club,
Ash,
a
and
scrap of
he's
his
been
former glory.
basically flagrantly
everything I
blowing the
could to
Masquerade ever
facilitate the
since.
He feels obligated to me. I don't think
So
he
what I'm
feels
doing
it.
this to lead into is I'm going to
Resents
go
me,
walk over
maybe.
there, and there is a
I am
quest
his
to
sire,
help
and
him
he is
out.
my child, and there is a responsibility and
Strictly
respect inherent
speaking,
in
I
the
don't think
bond.
you have to talk to
Even if
Isaac
we are no
first. I
longer
think
the
you can
friends
just
we
go
were.
talk to Ash.
I thought it would be nice to introduce.
He spends nearly all of his nights in his
It's
club.
good for our purposes that we can get the whole story for the Let's Play.
That is true.
So...
But yeah, so this is sort of... Again, the reason I'm doing these in this order is I wanted to try to make a point about the Anarchs. Like, for the first half of the game, you don't really ever get the feeling that, you know, it makes a lot of sense when Nine says, "Oh, the Camarilla are full of shit," because as far as you can tell, they are. Let's see, basically every time you run into Camarilla Authority, it's doing something obviously stupid. Like, you know, Prince LaCroix is killing a possibly really, really old generation vampire because of technical violation, and you know, even if you're talking to some of the more reasonable Camarilla figures like Strauss, he still sometimes gets a bit, like, when you go to him about the infection. Why am I the only person talking?
Because I have nothing to say right now, and Krellen
And because
is silent.
you're explaining things, so go.
I'd like to be discussing. I don't want to just monologue all day.
Why not? I do it all
When
the
you-
time.
When we have counterpoints to bring up, we'll interject.
But yeah, so anyways, the point I was trying to get to is Hollywood is kind of where you can sort of get, you know, in Hollywood they introduced that maybe the Camarilla aren't entirely full of shit, because in downtown there are no hunter problems. That's not an issue. Here, you know, Ash and Vivi, they've all got hunter issues. He is, as we're about to find out, in pretty crippling danger at the moment.
The sun's gone down.
There is a little question of whether this is an Anarch problem or a Toreador problem.
Although one can make the claim that even since the Anarchs also believe in the Masquerade, that they would also have just as many hunter issues as the Camarilla and probably would still be able to deal with them.
But I mean, it's more than that. Like, look at this Ash quest here. You remember that first, obviously stupid rule at the start where they were trying to kill your sire for siring you?
Yeah.
You know, right here
Yeah,
we've got
maybe
an
that
example
has a
of why
point,
that
'cause
rule
we
exists.
Yeah, we have a wild child here who is causing
I
problems.
could just do it. Just walk out of here and be a legend. Maybe
And yes, that was a pun I made.
I saw. I was thinking of a good counter pun.
Hunters
I couldn't figure
fought
out one in
back
time.
inside my club. I try to leave, they'll move on. So I had to ask myself.
Incidentally, the song in here is great.
And I could just walk out there right now.
I've noticed the
club-
soundtrack of this whole game is actually pretty good.
You know what?
This club actually plays two songs.
It doesn't bother
After
me.
this song finishes,
And I
it will
guess the
then
only
play
reason I haven't
Swamped,
walked out yet is
which
because
is also
I'm
the
trying
end
to
credit
figure out why
song.
it doesn't
song.
bother me.
Man, this place has got all the best music.
Did Isaac send you?
And I have been replaying replaying the game as a Nosferatu again, and something pops up when playing as a Nosferatu that doesn't pop up when playing as other clans so much is Masquerade violations. You tend to get a lot of them because just walking
Just being
around.
seen.
Yes, I mean,
I'm getting the hell out of here.
tends to what happen is if you walk up to a pedestrian and stand there long enough that they get a good look at you, they just scream and run away. It's not necessarily a Masquerade violation, but it can cascade poorly, and if you do that to a cop, it is a Masquerade violation.